This is Doofy McButterscotch, and we're gonna wrap up John Malkovich and do his last two films. Being John Malkovich, well, this is a very uniquely titled movie, and usually whenever you see a movie that actually has a name of someone in it, it's most often a documentary. That's what you'd think Being John Malkovich would be about. It's a documentary. But it so isn't. And this is actually a very odd film. I was looking forward to watching this movie because it's just got such a unique title. Being John Malkovich. It's something that I wanted to see what it was about. I mean, some of these films, like Places in the Heart and The Killing Fields, that I have yet to watch, they don't really have unique names. I'm not inclined to watch them right away, but Being John Malkovich, it just kind of brought me in. But anyway, enough about the title itself. What about the movie? Well, it's got John Cusack as one of the main characters, and alright, take a deep breath. I'm going to tell you what it's about. So you've got John Cusack, who is a failed street performer who finds a random hole in the wall behind a desk that when you travel all the way through it, you get to experience what John Malkovich goes through. Pretty weird, huh? You just go, random ass hole in the wall, you go through it, and you can see through the eyes of some random ass celebrity. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and the whole movie is weirder than shit. I tell you what, it's weird as shit. You have to watch it to see and believe it. It's just out there. It's a different movie. It's not so ridiculous and crazy that you can't follow it. It's weird, and no one else has done any movie like this, so it's just one of those weird random ass ideas where the producers were probably smoking a bunch of pot and there was like, hey, what about a movie about this shit? So it certainly is different. Points for originality, for sure. I don't even know what to say. I can't say thumbs up or thumbs down. I can't even nod my head or shake my head. It's kind of more like that's the whole reaction. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. But anyway, last movie, Empire of the Sun. Well, this also has Ben Stiller in a non-comedic role, and it's got Christian Bale before he turned into a piece of shit. It's got him as a little kid. So watching this after you know the kid turns into a little prick, it's hard to get on his side. It's a war-torn movie. Oh, I'm gonna have to stop it here and do this a little bit later because I gotta answer this. See you later. So anyway, Empire of the Sun, it's a war-torn movie, and yeah, Christian Bale's parents disappear. They get separated after a big riot, and he joins up with John Malkovich and Ben Stiller, who are soldiers, and they do stuff. So as you can tell by the tone of my voice, it's not particularly a great movie. It's just kind of, it's hard to like the characters because they're dickheads. It's kind of like if you were to watch a movie about a blind man and the blind man was played by Kanye West. It'd be impossible to actually like the guy and sympathize with the blind guy. I mean, it's hard to watch once you know how these people turned out. That's all I can say about that one. Now, John Malkovich. Well, he seems like kind of a prick, but he's an okay-ish actor. He has a lot of range. He plays a lot of different characters. He's got a monotone kind of voice. It's like, I shall go over here and do this, but not like that at all. He's got a real artsy-fartsy voice. So his acting is about as fancy as his last name is, Malkovich. There's not a lot of Malkoviches out there. So that's John Malkovich. And Let's see how much longer we can go before the time runs out. Steve Martin. Bringing Down the House. This one's got Queen Latifah in it. And it's, as you can tell, a comedy. A lot of these are going to be comedies. Well, not a lot, all of them. They're all comedies because it's Steve Martin. And Steve Martin's got a real old-fashioned sense of humor. It's not the updated. There's not a lot of F-bombs being thrown around. Bringing Down the House is like Steve Martin being paired up with someone he wouldn't usually get paired up with, which he does in quite a few of his films. It's a pretty decent comedy. I've forgotten about it a little bit, so you can tell it's not the greatest comedy ever, but it's decent. Father of the Bride. Now this one is also a decent comedy. It's more of a comedy drama more than anything else. And yeah, as you can tell, Steve Martin plays the father in this movie, and his daughter is getting married, as you can tell. Father of the Bride, that kind of gives it away. And it's basically a comedic tale about how the father-in-law adjusts to his daughter marrying some other guy and all that, and it takes you through all the normal situations. And Diane Keaton is his wife, and if you've watched every single one of my videos and remembered everything I said, which would be amazing and I'd be impressed, you know that I don't like Diane Keaton. I think she's a cunt, so it doesn't work, and it kind of ruins Father of the Bride Part 2, because that's about the second stage that usually follows marriage, which is babies. So it basically goes into that. But what's hilarious, sort of, is that the bride gets knocked up, but Steve Martin also knocks up his wife, who is kind of old. So two kids getting born at the same time. Massive confusion for the kids. Hey, this is your uncle, even though he's the same age as you. What? That sort of stuff. So it's an okay film. I mean, Steve Martin films are usually kind of okay-ish. Back in the day they were pretty good, but nowadays, compared to today's comedy, it's kind of a little bit slow. Let's move on to The Jerk. Now this is one of his oldest films, 1979. He's mainly an 80s and 90s guy, but The Jerk is one of his first, when he just stopped being a comedian and started going into acting full-time. And well, it's about Steve Martin, who goes from being, well, he's a white guy, if you don't know that already, and he's raised by some black people, which creates controversy. I cannot talk. Controversy? Man, controversy. Maybe I should just stop talking so fast. I can't even pronunciate my words correctly these days. Well, he becomes independent and goes out into the town, and it's one of those stories about how a guy goes away from the house and lives on his own. He becomes rich, and then he becomes a jerk and loses it all. And it's a really old-fashioned comedy movie. I think some people will get a real kick out of it. Some people will be more like, yeah, this is okay, but I thought it was decent. I mean, for a comedy of its day, it was probably really good, but for a comedy these days, it just doesn't hold up as much. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that one's got John Candy. I think it's probably one of the funniest on this whole list. It's sort of like Bringing Down the House. Oh, we're going to have to wrap it up because we're running out of time. See you next time.